Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of settling your case versus going to trial. But before I get into that, make sure to hit that subscribe button, follow along where I, Ethen Ostroff, owner and founder of Ethen Ostroff Law, will help make sure your future personal injury case is protected. Let's dive into it. First, we're going to talk about the pros of settling. 3 C's. First, certainty and speed. Second, cost savings. And third, control. Certainty and speed. Settling gives you a sense of finality. It will end your case. Sometimes, settling can kind of feel like a lose-lose. But at the bare minimum, the speed and the fact that you know that that case is going to be done and you know the dollar amount you're going to receive, there is some benefit to that. Settlements generally end a case faster. If you're going to have to wait until trial, that may take a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to get on a docket with your court, can take a lot of time. Certainty and speed is a definite benefit of settling your case before trial. Second, cost savings. Cost savings of settling your case is a true statement. You have to hire an expert. That costs money to testify that you were actually hurt in the way that you described that you were. You may need an economics expert to say that your future potential damages were X, Y, and Z amount. Trial costs more money, which inherently adds risk. Yes, you can get a huge verdict, much bigger. I just saw recently a $1 million offer to settle going into trial and a $23 million verdict. Yes, there is risk by leaving that opportunity of going forward with a trial just by basically ending your case and settling, but the certainty, speed, and the cost savings, sometimes, let's say that you settle your case for $100,000. I'm making up these numbers. If you settle your case for $100,000 and let's say you go to a jury verdict and they give you $100,000, guess what? You will net more money in your pocket by settling that case than going to trial. So this is one of those areas where, if there is a very low likelihood that you are going to beat the final settlement offer that's on the table, the cost savings may be worth settling the case instead of going to trial. The last of the 3 C's, control. By settling the case, you have complete control over the outcome. You can say no to their final settlement offer. You can say yes to their final settlement offer. But if you do choose to take your case to trial, what the jury says likely goes. There's a low likelihood that you as the plaintiff will be able to appeal that verdict and get a better result. So by settling the case, you do have complete control over the outcome, whereas a jury trial, you have no control over the outcome. So the certainty of getting and the control of getting that case resolved in a settlement negotiation gives you more control over the outcome than going to trial. Now let's talk about the cons of settlement. Number 1 and most important, you may be leaving money on the table. If you settle your case and let's say you would have gotten $1 million verdict and you settle it for $100,000, guess what? You're not getting that $900,000. The case is over. You settle your case, you're done. No ifs, ands, or buts. So settling the case can leave money on the table potentially. So that's where a really good lawyer should be guiding you on what the likely outcome is of going to trial versus settling. And if there is a good chance that you could kick ass at trial and get a huge verdict, settling could be leaving money on the table. Number 2, no precedent setting activity. What I mean by that, if you settle your case, most of the time, settlements are not reported. Therefore, let's say that you were dealing with a really important legal issue, and if you went to trial and you won, it could set a precedent for future cases with that same set of facts. By settling the case, you will not set that precedent. So it could be good for you, but it may not be good for the next case with the same set of facts. Just something to consider. Number 3, lose-lose feel of a settlement. There is no hitting a home run in a settlement. Very, very rarely do plaintiffs leave a settlement feeling like they just knocked it out of the park. The only time where plaintiffs feel like they knocked it out of the park, maybe you're riding the coattails of some amazing firm who maybe just had that same case and got a monster verdict, and you have the same facts and you happen to get a great settlement. But very, very rarely do settlements feel like a win for the plaintiff. It kind of feels like it's just not bad enough that you want to move on. So the lose-lose feel of a settlement is more of an emotional thing. You never really knock settlements out of the park. Very rarely do you. And plaintiffs can sometimes feel like they didn't quite get everything they deserved with a settlement. Now the pros of going to trial. What are the benefits to taking your case to trial? Number 1, full compensation. Number 2, precedent setting on the record. Number 3, full and fair justice. Number 1, on full compensation. By taking your case to trial, there is nothing to guess about. If you take your case all the way to a jury verdict, there is no wondering what would have happened, and you will get that closure, good or bad. You will get closure and a final answer on what your case is really worth according to a jury. Number 2, precedent. By taking your case to trial, you may help others in the future. By setting precedent in your case, you may help people in future cases that have the same complicated facts your case may have. Let's say, for example, you got in an Uber crash, and in that Uber crash, some delicate thing about your case that was an issue at trial gets ruled on, and maybe it helps other people get the benefit of things like insurance that they wouldn't have gotten. Because a judge ruled on your case, you may have set precedent that helps other people get fairly compensated in the future. If you settle your case, there will never be a legal proceeding to rule on those things. By taking your case to trial, you will set precedent that may help others in the future. Number 3, full and fair justice. There is no guesswork when it comes to trial. By taking your case to trial, you will get the full and most fair methodology all the way back to our founding fathers on getting justice for what happened to you that shouldn't have. The cons of taking your case to trial. Number 1, uncertainty. Number 2, publicity. Number 3, time consuming. Number 1, uncertainty. Unlike a settlement negotiation, you have no control on what a jury renders your case to be worth. If a jury says your case is worth $1, hey, guess what? That $100,000 offer that they may have had on the plate that you turned down thinking your case is worth $10 million, if they reward you or award you $1, guess what you're getting? $1. You have no control over the outcome of a trial, while you do have some control over the outcome of a settlement. So sometimes settlement, while it may feel like a lose-lose, at least you know what you're going to get. Publicity. Publicity is inevitable when it comes to a big trial. If you don't like being in the limelight, you're going to be very public for quite some time. Before, during, and after the trial, sometimes there are news reporters that will wait outside to hear how things are going. You will be in the limelight, whether you are comfortable with that or not, if you take your case to trial. Time consuming. Legal cases take longer if you take them to trial. Settlements can occur at any time. It could occur a day after your accident, potentially. If you take your case all the way to a jury trial, you're going to have to wait as long as possible. And in addition to taking your case to the jury trial, it's possible that if you get that $25 million verdict, the defense may appeal. So you may have to wait to get paid for years, even after that trial, in a way that if you settled your case, you'd get paid pretty quickly. So it's time consuming. So, which is better? Settling, going to trial? There are certainly pros and cons to both. In my opinion, if you get full value on your case, it takes a balance of both of those things. If you're picking between a few firms, the firms that you should go with, or firms that you should talk to, being referred to, are firms that at least take some cases to trial. If the firm that you're considering only settles cases, there's a good chance that insurance companies don't respect them very much or think that they might take a case to trial. Sometimes lawyers are a little too aggressive and they take too many cases to trial for ego purposes. So settling needs to be a part of the factor. Settling is not a loss. It just might not feel like a win-win. So it takes a balance of a firm that settles the cases that should be settled and takes to trial the cases that should be taken to trial, and then figuring out what's best for you with your particular case, because no two cases are the same. I hope that this was helpful content for you. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, follow along, where I will make sure your future personal injury case is protected. My name is Ethen Ostroff. I'm a personal injury lawyer myself. I help victims of toxic torts, personal injury, and tons of different kinds of cases all across the country. If we can be helpful for you, we'd love to be, but at the very least, follow along and make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much.